The 1970s changed everything. Insurance companies cracked down on muscle cars. Emission standards strangled horsepower. Gas prices skyrocketed. But while the headlines screamed about the death of performance, a handful of automakers quietly slipped big engines into ordinary-looking family cars and compacts that nobody suspected. These were the sleeper cars of the 70s, machines that looked like grocery getters, but could embarrass Camaros and Mustangs at every stoplight. Today, we're counting down 12 unknown sleeper cars of the 1970s that proved you didn't need flashy stripes and hood scoops to have serious American muscle under the hood. Number 12, 1973, Oldsmobile Omega 58. Most people have never heard of the Oldsmobile Omega, and that's exactly what made it dangerous. In 1973, when Oldsmobile needed a compact car to compete with imports and the fuel crisis, they built the Omega on General Motors' X-Body platform, the same bones that held up the Chevrolet Nova. But where the Nova got attention for its supersport variants, the Omega flew completely under the radar. It looked like a sensible commuter car, with restrained Oldsmobile styling, formal rooflines, and chrome bumpers that screamed suburban respectability. Nobody expected what could hide beneath that conservative sheet metal. Oldsmobile offered a 350 cubic inch V8 option that transformed the Omega from economy car to street fighter. This wasn't some detuned motor either. The 350 produced 250 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. Serious numbers for 1973, when emission controls were strangling everything Detroit built. Bolted to a 4-speed manual transmission, the Omega V8 could hit 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds and run the quarter mile in the low 16-second range. Those numbers embarrassed plenty of so-called muscle cars from that era. The beauty of the Omega was its complete anonymity. While cops watched for Chevelle and GTOs, the Omega rolled past looking like your accountant's daily driver. The interior featured Oldsmobile's typical upscale touches: wood grain accents, comfortable bucket seats, and full instrumentation, but nothing that screamed performance. Even the exterior remained subtle, with small V8 badges, the only hint of what lived under the hood. Most drivers never noticed until the Omega's taillights disappeared into the distance. Production numbers stayed low because few buyers understood what Oldsmobile offered. That rarity makes surviving V8 Omegas valuable today. The Omega proved sleeper performance didn't die with the 60s, hiding speed behind ordinary styling, a perfect countdown start. Number 11, 1972, Mercury Montego GT. Mercury has always lived in Ford's shadow, building slightly fancier versions of Ford products for buyers who wanted extra chrome and cushier interiors. But in 1972, Mercury built something genuinely special with the Montego GT, a mid-size coupe that could swallow NASCAR-level engines without breaking a sweat. While most Montegos went to families looking for reliable transportation, the GT variant offered serious muscle hidden behind formal styling that looked more country club than quarter-mile strip. The Montego GT's secret weapon was engine availability. Mercury offered the 429 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 as an option, and this wasn't some watered-down emission-strangled motor. The 429 produced 370 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, brutal tire-shredding power that could overwhelm the Montego's rear tires at will. This was the same basic engine that powered NASCAR stockers and Ford's biggest muscle cars, now tucked into a formal roofed coupe that looked like it belonged in a bank parking lot. With a 4-speed manual transmission, the Montego GT could hit 60 in the mid 6-second range and run quarter miles in the high 14. Those were serious numbers for 1972, when most muscle cars were losing power every year. The Montego's long wheelbase and solid construction actually helped it handle that power better than shorter, lighter cars. The suspension received upgrades to cope with the 429's weight and torque, including heavier springs, larger sway bars, and performance shocks that kept everything planted during hard acceleration. What made the Montego GT a true sleeper was its complete lack of visual drama. Just a handsome mid-size coupe with Mercury's formal styling and conservative proportions that suggested nothing about the violence under the hood. Production numbers remained extremely low. Today, finding a genuine 429 Montego GT is nearly impossible. Number 10, 1971, Buick Skylark GS 350. Buick built its reputation on comfort, quiet operation, and understated luxury. The brand's typical customer wanted smooth highways cruising, not stoplight wars. But Buick's performance division understood that some buyers wanted both worlds, luxury and speed, without advertising their intentions. The 1971 Skylark GS 350 delivered exactly that combination, wrapping genuine muscle car performance inside conservative Buick styling that looked ready for church parking lots rather than drag strips. The GS 350 used Buick's excellent 350 cubic inch V8 that produced 315 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. These weren't inflated advertising numbers. This was genuine dyno-proven power from an engine that Buick engineers had been refining for years. The 350 featured a 4-barrel carburetor, performance camshaft, and free-flowing exhaust that delivered strong power across the entire RPM range. Unlike some muscle car engines that were peaky and difficult to drive, the Buick motor produced massive torque everywhere, making it brutally effective in real-world driving. Backed by a 4-speed manual transmission and a limited slip differential, the Skylark GS 350 could reach 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds and complete the quarter mile in the low 15-second range with trap speeds around 90 miles per hour. Those numbers matched or beat many more famous muscle cars from 1971. The Skylark's relatively lightweight, around 3,400 pounds, helped performance, and Buick's solid chassis design meant the car handled better than its sedate appearance suggested. The suspension featured performance-tuned springs and shocks, plus a thick front sway bar that reduced body roll during hard cornering. From the outside, the Skylark GS 350 looked like a typical Buick. Formal roofline, conservative trim, chrome bumpers, and restrained styling that wouldn't frighten anybody's grandmother. The GS badges were small and subtle. No wild colors, no racing stripes, no hood tack. The interior continued the luxury theme with comfortable bucket seats, full instrumentation including a tachometer, wood grain accents, and thick carpeting. You could take clients to lunch in this car without raising eyebrows, then destroy Chevelles on the way home. The Skylark GS 350 suffered from badge prejudice. Muscle car buyers in 1971 wanted Chevrolet, Pontiac, or Chrysler nameplates. They didn't take Buick seriously as a performance brand. Even though the GS 350 could beat most of its competitors, insurance companies rated the Buick lower than equivalent Chevrolet or Pontiac muscle cars, making it cheaper to insure despite having similar performance. That made the Skylark GS 350 perfect for smart buyers who wanted speed without the cost or attention that came with traditional muscle car brands. Number 9, 1975 Plymouth Duster 360. By 1975, the muscle car era was officially dead. Insurance costs had killed high-performance cars. Emission controls strangled engines. The fuel crisis made big motors unpopular. But Plymouth refused to completely surrender, and the Duster 360 proved that even in the darkest days, Detroit could still build something quick if they tried. The Duster was Plymouth's compact coupe, a budget-friendly car built on the Valiant platform that looked economy-minded and practical. But order the 360 V8 option, and suddenly that economy car became a genuine sleeper. The 360 cubic inch V8 produced 245 horsepower in 1975. Not impressive compared to the glory days, but strong for that era, when most engines barely cracked 200 horses. More importantly, the 360 made 330 pound-feet of torque, and that low-end grunt made the lightweight Duster genuinely quick. The engine featured a 4-barrel carburetor, dual exhaust, and performance camshaft that gave it a lumpy idle and aggressive exhaust note. Plymouth knew exactly what they were building. With a 4-speed manual transmission, the Duster 360 could hit 60 miles per hour in around 7.5 seconds and run quarter miles in the high 15-second range. Those numbers don't sound amazing until you remember this was 1975, when most cars were slow, wallowing, emissions-choked disasters. The Duster could embarrass Camaros, Mustang IIs, and Firebirds from that same year. Its lightweight, barely 3,200 pounds, helped immensely. Plymouth's engineers tuned the suspension for performance, with heavy-duty torsion bars up front, multi-leaf springs in the rear, and front disc brakes that provided decent stopping power. The Duster's styling worked perfectly for a sleeper. It looked like a budget compact coupe with simple lines, a fastback roofline, and minimal chrome. Everything said cheap transportation, until the 360's rumble gave away its secret. Plymouth built it for drivers who understood that affordable performance mattered more than prestige. Number 8, 1970, Chevrolet Malibu 400. Chevrolet called it the Malibu 400, but that badge told a small lie. The engine wasn't a 400 cubic inch motor. It was actually 402 cubic inches, the same big block that powered SS Chevelle and other serious Chevrolet muscle cars. Chevrolet rounded down to 400 because it sounded less threatening to insurance companies and concerned parents. That subtle deception made the Malibu 400 one of the smartest sleepers of 1970, offering genuine SS-level performance inside mid-size family car packaging that nobody suspected. The 400, or really 402, cubic inch V8 produced 330 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. This was genuine big block Chevrolet muscle, featuring a 4-barrel carburetor, performance camshaft, and Chevrolet's excellent turbo-hydromatic 3-speed automatic or optional 4-speed manual transmission. The engine used the same basic architecture as the legendary 427, just with slightly smaller bore and stroke. It delivered smooth, effortless power that could overwhelm the rear tires whenever the driver wanted. Performance was serious. The Malibu 400 could hit 60 miles per hour in the low 6-second range and complete the quarter mile in the high 14-second range at speeds around 95 miles per hour. Those numbers matched full-on SS Chevelles, but the Malibu 400 cost less, insured cheaper, and attracted zero attention from police or parents. The car's suspension received upgrades to handle the big block's weight and power, including heavy-duty springs, larger front disc brakes, and a rear sway bar that helped control body roll. Chevrolet knew exactly what they were building. The Malibu 400's genius was its invisibility. It looked like a standard Malibu coupe, handsome but unremarkable styling, conservative proportions, minimal badges, and nothing that screamed performance. You could park at the supermarket without anyone looking twice. Today, genuine Malibu 400s are rare and valuable, representing Chevrolet's last truly subtle big block. Number 7, 1971, AMC Matador 401. American Motors never had the resources to compete with Detroit's Big Three in straight muscle car wars. AMC couldn't afford multiple performance divisions, racing programs, or expensive marketing campaigns. But AMC engineers were clever, and they understood that hiding big engines in ordinary family cars could create something special. The 1971 Matador 401 was AMC's sleeper masterpiece, a full-size family sedan that could swallow the company's biggest, most powerful engine and deliver genuinely shocking performance. The 401 cubic inch V8 was AMC's monster motor, and in 1971 it produced 330 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. This wasn't some small block pretending to be tough. The 401 displaced serious cubic inches and delivered brutal, tire-smoking power. AMC's engineers gave the 401 a 4-barrel carburetor, performance camshaft, dual exhaust, and all the hardware needed to move the Matador's substantial bulk with authority. The engine breathed well, revved cleanly, and produced strong power everywhere in the RPM range. With the 4-speed manual transmission, the Matador 401 could reach 60 miles per hour in under 7 seconds and complete quarter miles in the mid-15-second range. Those were remarkable numbers for a full-size family sedan that weighed close to 4,000 pounds. The Matador's long wheelbase and solid construction actually helped it launch hard, and AMC upgraded the suspension with heavy-duty springs, larger shocks, and a thicker front sway bar. The brakes received attention too, with front discs that provided decent stopping power for a big, heavy car. The Matador 401 succeeded as a sleeper because nobody expected AMC to build anything genuinely fast. The Matador looked like a typical 70s family sedan. Formal styling, lots of chrome, conservative colors, and an interior designed for comfort rather than performance. AMC offered the 401 in both sedan and wagon body styles, and both could be equipped with the big engine. Imagine pulling up to a stoplight in a wood-paneled Matador wagon and destroying a Camaro Z28. That's the kind of surreal experience the 401 delivered. AMC didn't promote the Matador 401 heavily because they knew their target market. This wasn't for young muscle car buyers who wanted Chevelles or Chargers. This was for mature buyers who needed family transportation but refused to give up performance. It was for parents who wanted one car that could haul kids on weekdays and dominate on weekends. And it was perfect for drivers who enjoyed shocking people at stoplights with a car nobody expected to be quick. Today, Matador 401s are extremely rare because few were built and fewer survived. Finding one is discovering a piece of AMC's clever engineering history. Number 6, 1972 Dodge Dart Swinger 340. The Dodge Dart was America's everyman car, affordable, reliable, practical transportation that filled driveways from coast to coast. Dodge sold hundreds of thousands of Darts to families, commuters, and anyone who needed basic transportation. The Swinger was the Dart's coupe variant, offering slightly sportier styling while maintaining that fundamental economy car character. But order the 340 V8 option, and that humble economy coupe transformed into a genuine street terror that embarrassed far more expensive muscle cars. The 340 cubic inch V8 was one of Chrysler's masterpiece small blocks, and in 1972, it still produced 275 horsepower, despite increasingly strict emission controls. The 340 featured a 4-barrel carburetor, performance camshaft, and free-flowing exhaust that gave it an aggressive personality. This wasn't a truck motor adapted for passenger car duty. The 340 was purpose-built for performance, with excellent breathing, strong mid-range torque, and the ability to rev cleanly to 6,000 RPM. Chrysler's engineers loved this engine, and it showed. With the 4-speed manual transmission, the Dart Swinger 340 could hit 60 miles per hour in the low 6-second range and run quarter miles in the high 14-second range at speeds around 95 miles per hour. Those numbers embarrassed bigger, heavier, more expensive muscle cars. The Dart's lightweight, barely 3,000 pounds, made the 340 feel like massive overkill in the best possible way. Dodge upgraded the suspension with heavy-duty torsion bars, multi-leaf rear springs, and front disc brakes. The combination created a car that handled surprisingly well and stopped effectively despite its budget roots. The Dart Swinger 340's strength was complete stealth. It looked exactly like every other economy Dart on the road. Plain styling, minimal chrome, and nothing suggesting performance, except small badges nobody noticed. Everything screamed cheap transportation until the 340 fired up with its distinctive, lumpy idle and aggressive exhaust note. Number 5, 1974 Pontiac Ventura GTO. By 1974, the GTO name had fallen far from its glory days. The original GTO had created the muscle car movement in 1964, defining what American performance meant for an entire generation. But a decade of insurance pressures, emission controls, and changing tastes had killed the GTO in its original form. Pontiac refused to let the name die completely. So they did something controversial. They put GTO badges on the compact Ventura and hoped buyers would accept it. Most didn't, but those who looked past the blasphemy found a surprisingly capable little sleeper. The Ventura GTO used Pontiac's 350 cubic inch V8 that produced 200 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. These were modest numbers compared to the original GTO's glory, but they were strong for 1974 when emission controls were strangling everything. The 350 featured a 4-barrel carburetor, dual exhaust, and performance tuning that gave it decent responsiveness. Pontiac offered a 4-speed manual transmission and upgraded suspension with heavy-duty springs, shocks, and a front sway bar. Performance was respectable for the era. The Ventura GTO could hit 60 in the mid-7-second range and run quarter miles in the mid-16-second bracket. Not spectacular, but quick enough to be fun, and certainly faster than most cars on the road in 1974. The Ventura's lightweight, around 3,200 pounds, helped the modest 350 move the car with reasonable authority. Pontiac added front disc brakes and a limited slip differential as standard equipment, giving the little GTO legitimate performance hardware. The Ventura GTO's problem was its name. Die-hard GTO fans hated seeing the legendary badge on a compact car built on Chevrolet Nova bones. They saw it as a betrayal, a cynical attempt to cash in on past glory. Sales were terrible. Pontiac only built about 7,000 Ventura GTOs before killing the model. But those who actually drove them found a fun, affordable compact with decent performance and reasonable insurance rates. The Ventura GTO wasn't trying to be a 1967 GTO. It was a realistic performance car for changed times. Today, the Ventura GTO is one of the most misunderstood muscle cars ever built. It failed commercially and damaged the GTO name, but it was actually a decent little car that deserved better. The Ventura proved that even in 1974, Pontiac could build something entertaining if they tried. It was a sleeper because nobody expected anything from it, and those who discovered it were usually pleasantly surprised. The Ventura GTO represents an awkward transition period in American automotive history, but it's also a reminder that performance never completely died. It just changed shape. Number 4, 1970, Ford Maverick Grabber 302. Ford introduced the Maverick in 1969 as a simple, affordable compact designed to compete with imports and appeal to budget-conscious Americans. The Maverick was basic transportation, economy car mechanicals, plain styling, and minimal features. Ford sold the Maverick primarily with 6-cylinder engines and expected most buyers to use them as cheap commuter cars. But Ford's performance division saw potential in the Maverick's lightweight and simple construction, and they created the Grabber package to inject some excitement into the economy car lineup. The Maverick Grabber came standard with Ford's 302 cubic-inch V8 that produced 210 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque. This wasn't a huge motor or massive horsepower, but the 302 was a proven, reliable small block with decent performance characteristics. Ford gave the Grabber a 4-speed manual transmission, upgraded suspension with competition-tuned springs and shocks, and front disc brakes. The Grabber also got visual upgrades including hood stripes, rear spoiler, special wheels, and bold graphics that made it look faster than the base Maverick. Performance was modest but satisfying. The Maverick Grabber could reach 60 miles per hour in around 8 seconds and complete quarter miles in the mid-16-second range. Not earth-shattering, but the Grabber weighed only about 2,900 pounds, which made the 302 feel stronger than its numbers suggested. The car handled reasonably well thanks to its upgraded suspension, and the steering was quick and responsive. Ford positioned the Grabber as a fun, affordable alternative to expensive muscle cars, and it succeeded in that role. What made the Maverick Grabber a sleeper wasn't its visual package. Those stripes and graphics actually advertised its intentions. The sleeper factor came from people not taking it seriously. The Maverick was an economy car, and most drivers assumed the Grabber package was all show and no go. They'd see the stripes and spoiler and assume it was cosmetic foolishness on a slow car. Then, the 302 would bark to life, and the little Maverick would prove it had legitimate moves. The Grabber embarrassed plenty of drivers who underestimated it based on its economy car roots. Ford built a decent number of Maverick Grabbers, but most got used hard as cheap performance cars and eventually wore out or crashed. Surviving examples are relatively rare today, and the market is starting to recognize them as legitimate pieces of Ford performance history. The Grabber proved that even in 1970, you could build an entertaining car without massive displacement or huge horsepower. The Maverick Grabber was simple, honest, affordable performance, and it remains one of the more interesting sleepers from the early 70s. Number 3, 1973, Chevrolet Nova SS 396. The Chevrolet Nova SS had been around since the mid-60s, offering small car performance for buyers who wanted muscle without the size and weight of a Chevelle. By 1973, the muscle car era was dying, and most SS models had been watered down or discontinued. But Chevrolet quietly continued offering the Nova SS with genuine big block power for drivers who knew what to order. The Nova SS 396 was Chevrolet's last gasp at traditional muscle. Conservative styling, hiding serious cubic inches, and the kind of power that could still dominate streets. The 396 cubic inch V8 was actually a 402 cubic inch motor. Chevrolet used the rounded down designation to avoid insurance penalties. In 1973, this big block produced 350 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. These were serious numbers when most muscle cars were losing 50 or more horsepower every model year. The Nova's 396 breathed through a 4-barrel carburetor, featured a performance camshaft and dual exhaust, and delivered the kind of brutal low-end torque that made stoplight dominance effortless. With the 4-speed manual transmission, the Nova SS 396 could hit 60 miles per hour in the low 6-second range and complete quarter miles in the high 14-second range, with trap speeds approaching 100 miles per hour. Those were serious performance numbers that matched or exceeded most of the legendary muscle cars from earlier years. The Nova weighed about 3,300 pounds, and stuffing that much motor into such a relatively compact car created something genuinely violent. Chevrolet upgraded the suspension, brakes, and drivetrain to handle the power, including heavy-duty springs, front disc brakes, and a 12-bolt rear end with limited slip differential. The Nova SS 396 succeeded as a sleeper because it looked completely ordinary. Nova styling in 1973 was conservative and mature. No wild scoops, no outrageous spoilers, no graphics that screamed for attention. The SS badges were small and subtle. Most people saw just another Nova compact car and assumed it had a 6-cylinder or small V8. The interior was comfortable but basic, with bucket seats, full gauges, including a tachometer, and typical Chevrolet quality. Nothing suggested the violence available when you buried the throttle. Chevrolet didn't build many Nova SS 396s because big block cars were becoming commercially unviable. Insurance costs were killing them, emission regulations were strangling them, and the fuel crisis made large displacement engines unpopular. But for one final year, Chevrolet offered this incredible combination of compact dimensions and massive displacement. Today, surviving Nova SS 396s are highly sought after by collectors who understand their significance. These were the last true big block sleepers, the final cars where you could get serious cubic inches in genuinely compact packaging. The Nova SS 396 represented everything that made 70s sleepers special: underestimated, understated, and undeniably quick. Number 2, 1971, Dodge Demon 340. Dodge needed a competitor for Plymouth's successful Duster, so they created the Demon, a compact coupe built on Dart mechanicals, but with more aggressive styling and performance intentions. The Demon arrived in 1971 with distinctive graphics, a cartoon devil mascot, and marketing aimed at young buyers who wanted affordable performance. But the real magic happened when you ordered the 340 V8 option, which transformed the economy-based coupe into one of the most underrated performance cars of the entire decade. The 340 cubic inch V8 was Chrysler's legendary small block, and in 1971 it produced 275 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque. This was genuine performance despite emission controls starting to bite. The 340 featured a 4-barrel carburetor, high-flow exhaust manifolds, and a performance camshaft that gave it a lumpy, idle, and aggressive character. Chrysler knew how to extract power from small blocks, and the 340 represented years of racing development translated into street cars. With the 4-speed manual transmission, the Demon 340 could hit 60 miles per hour in the low 6-second range and run quarter miles in the low 14-second range at speeds around 95 miles per hour. Those were legitimate muscle car numbers that embarrassed plenty of more famous machinery. The Demon weighed barely 3,000 pounds, making the 340 feel like massive overkill. Dodge upgraded the suspension with heavy-duty torsion bars, multi-leaf rear springs, and front disc brakes. The combination created a car that not only accelerated hard, but also handled and stopped better than most muscle cars. The Demon 340 worked as a sleeper because people dismissed it as a cheap economy car with cartoon graphics. Sure, the Demon had racing stripes and devil decals, but most drivers assumed it was all show. Cheap decoration on a slow car. They didn't expect the 340's brutal acceleration or the way the little Dodge could walk away from Camaros and Mustangs. The Demon looked like a kid's car, something for people who couldn't afford real muscle. That made it perfect for shocking people who underestimated it. Dodge built decent numbers of Demon 340s, but most got driven hard, wrecked, or worn out during their working lives. The Demon was cheap enough that people didn't preserve them like expensive muscle cars. Today, surviving Demon 340s are increasingly collectible as enthusiasts recognize their performance and significance. The Demon proved that compact dimensions, lightweight, and a great engine could create something genuinely quick. It represented Mopar, small block performance at its finest, efficient, powerful, and far more capable than most people expected. Number 1. 1970 AMC Hornet SC 360. American Motors built the Hornet as a compact economy car to compete with Ford Mavericks and Chevrolet Novas. The Hornet featured practical styling, efficient packaging, and affordable pricing. AMC marketed it as sensible transportation for practical Americans. Then, AMC's performance division got involved and created the SC360, a package that turned the economy Hornet into one of the most underrated sleepers of the entire 1970s. The SC360 proved that AMC understood performance even if they couldn't afford flashy marketing or racing programs. The SC360 used AMC's 360 cubic inch V8 that produced 285 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque. These were strong numbers for 1970, especially considering the Hornet was designed as an economy car. AMC gave the SC360 a 4-barrel carburetor, dual exhaust, and performance tuning that delivered smooth, strong power throughout the RPM range. The 4-speed manual transmission featured Hurst linkage for positive shifts, and AMC added a limited slip differential to put the power down effectively. Performance was genuinely impressive. The Hornet SC360 could hit 60 miles per hour in the low 6-second range and complete quarter miles in the high 14-second range at speeds around 95 miles per hour. Those numbers matched or beat Camaros, Mustangs, and other famous muscle cars. The Hornet weighed around 3,200 pounds, and that lightweight made the 360 feel stronger than its rated horsepower suggested. AMC upgraded the suspension with heavy-duty springs and shocks, added front disc brakes, and fitted wider tires to handle the increased performance. What made the Hornet SC360 the ultimate sleeper was its complete invisibility. It looked exactly like a base economy Hornet. Plain styling, minimal chrome, conservative proportions, and nothing suggesting performance except small SC badges that nobody noticed. The interior was basic economy car fare, with vinyl seats, simple gauges, and hard plastics. AMC offered some graphics packages, but most SC360s went out looking completely stock. You could park this car anywhere without attracting attention. Then, the 360 would fire up with its distinctive rumble, and suddenly everyone understood this wasn't a normal economy car. AMC only built about 780 SC360s, making them extremely rare today. Most buyers didn't understand what AMC offered, and the company couldn't afford to market it properly. But those who bought them got something special, a genuinely quick car with reasonable insurance rates, good reliability, and the element of complete surprise. The Hornet SC360 could embarrass Chevelles and Chargers while looking like something a school teacher would drive. That's the essence of a sleeper car. And that's why the AMC Hornet SC360 sits at the top of our countdown. The 1970s weren't kind to performance cars, but these 12 sleepers prove that American muscle never completely died. It just learned to hide. These cars rejected flash and pretense in favor of substance and surprise. They offered genuine speed without the insurance penalties, police attention, or social stigma that came with traditional muscle cars. Today, they remind us that the smartest performance often comes in the most unexpected packages. Which of these unknown sleepers would you choose for one last drive? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through forgotten American muscle, hit that subscribe button for more stories from the golden age of horsepower.